Thank you very much, Dean Colombo. President Bullinger, Dean Quigley, members of the class of 2007. The 2004 Class Day speaker, Tony Kushner, Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, one of the great social commentators of our time. 2005, Robert Kraft, business genius, the man who built the New England Patriots into the most successful franchise in sport. 2006, John McCain, prisoner of war, United States Senator, presidential hopeful. 2007, Matthew Fox. Yes, I can understand some of your skepticism. I understand the sentiments of your classmate, Julia Kite. Is Julia out there today? I tend not to fall prey to the narcissistic exercise of reading one's own reviews, but I did come across what she said to The Spectator, and I quote, "I've never heard of this guy." Julia, hello, I'm Matthew Fox. Some of you might even be thinking, you know, we got this guy and Harvard got Bill Gates. Well, I submit to you that there is an important distinction between myself and Mr. Gates. I actually graduated college. And it's true, while I can't offer the perspective of a playwright or a senator or a software pioneer, there is a perspective I can offer. And that's the perspective of someone who was sitting exactly in your place 18 years ago. So first, congratulations. Right on. Barring some truly impressive celebrating tonight, tomorrow you will become graduates. That's an incredible accomplishment. You should celebrate it. You've earned it. And then, after you're done celebrating, I'd like you to ask yourself a tough question. How much of what you've done up to this point in your life has absolutely and completely been your idea? How much have you lived for your passion? And how much have you lived out others' aspirations for you? I ask this because a commencement is a beginning, and I want to encourage you to use this beginning to strip away the expectations that others have for you and begin writing the story of your own life, in your own hand, guided by your own interests. Many of you have this picture of where you want to be 20 years from now. Few, if any of you, will be standing exactly in that position you imagine. And if you are one of those few, I worry you won't have allowed yourself to be open to the spontaneity and infinite possibility that life presents. 18 years ago, sitting in those seats, as hungover as I was, I remember feeling three things: accomplishment, excitement, yes, but hovering over the accomplishment and excitement was a sense of fear. A fear I'd felt to begin to grow within the entire senior class that spring as we came closer to the day that we'd leave Columbia and begin to look to our futures. Columbia had provided the most safe and nurturing environment for the 4 years we'd spent here, making lifelong friends, socializing probably a little too much, and yes, doing some studying. Now, fear can be a good thing. In terms of evolution, it is what has given us those two choices in times of distress: fight or flight. The goal, wired into the most primitive part of our brains, is to choose which one is going to keep us safe. But when it comes to the future and the choices you will begin to make in defining the future for yourselves, the safest choice may not, probably will not be the best choice, especially as it relates to each and every one of you ending up doing something that you love something that challenges you, that inspires you, that feels deep down inside you like the very thing that you were meant to do. A little story. The one and only interview that I went on in my spring semester of my senior year, I went to an interview at Prubèche, and I didn't own a suit, and so I borrowed a suit from a friend of mine here at Columbia who was a couple inches shorter than me, and so it didn't fit, and I also borrowed some penny loafers from him, and so I go to this interview. I'm meeting with 4 or 5 guys there, and they're very, very excited about what they're doing for a living and attempting to convince me to go to Prubèche and start there. And at the end of the interview, we're all standing in a circle, sort of saying our goodbyes, and I'll never forget this. One of them turned to the other one and said, "Well, he's going to have to do something about those shoes." And they all looked down, and I looked down, and every one of them had identical Oxford business shoes on, and I had these penny loafers with the pants too high. And I knew in that moment, I just knew that I couldn't do it. I mean, that was not going to be for me, that path. And I mean, the point of the story is not to badmouth investment banking or anything that you may choose to do. In fact, it's the opposite. Nobody should apologize for their choices if they're following and or discovering their passion. The same way I don't apologize for being part of pop culture. I came to this place by discovering my passion, telling stories. And if what you do fulfills your passion, whatever it is, there is honor in that. Now, after that interview and my realization that it wasn't for me, it's not as if I had some sort of incredible backup option in mind. You know, when you don't have much of a plan A, you're not so likely to have a very good plan B either. So the only thing I really had was that sense of apprehension about the future. And when you turn away from one path, there's rarely a fully formed passion waiting to greet you. You have to trade fear for trust. There was no bolt from the blue for me when it came to acting. There rarely is for anyone. There is only the aggregate of 100 decisions and instincts and experiences. And if you trust in yourself, each one readjusts your path a little bit until 5 or 10 or 18 years from now, you can say, I've arrived at a place where I'm doing exactly what I feel like I'm meant to be doing. There is no realization more empowering. Now, I'm running up to the 8 minutes I was allotted, so let me conclude by recapping. Julia, I'm Matthew Fox. Live for your own passion, not the aspirations or expectations others have for you. Trade fear for trust. Allow yourself to find that area, either of your excellence or your excitement, that motivates you to apply the same focus and energy that got you through Columbia. Whatever that area is, there's value in it simply because it's the area of your passion. Finally, and most importantly, do not apologize. One of the most beautiful things you can see is that moment at which a person stops apologizing for who they are and what they want to do and who they want to be, and they drop into themselves. That's it. That's all the wisdom that I have to offer. All that's left to say is, as of tomorrow, you are the author of your own life. I'm excited by what I get to do. I get to tell stories, but equally as exciting as that to me is the story each one of you has yet to write. The first chapter is coming to a close. Where the story goes from here is up to you. Congratulations, class of 2007.